earlier this afternoon, the Indiana legislature overrode a veto by their Republican governor that now puts into place, will set the stage for Indiana having in place a measure that will protect women's sports in that state. Well, now the eyes of America shift to Louisiana, where for the second year in a row, the Louisiana lawmakers, the legislature, has passed legislation that, among other provisions, makes athletic teams or sporting events designed for females, girls, or women, open only to students who are biologically female. Now, I tell you, even the fact that we have to talk about this and then have to pass legislation tells you how far we've gone. Well, the Louisiana Senate voted 32-6 yesterday to pass SB 44, Louisiana's Fairness in Women's Sports Act, which passed the House last week 72-21. It now heads to the desk of Democrat Governor John Bel Edwards, who vetoed nearly identical legislation last year. Joining me now to talk about this and what's next is the bill's sponsor, Louisiana State Senator Beth Mizell, who joins us by phone. Senator, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Tony. It's great to be here. It's like deja vu all over again.
It is. Well, thank you for not giving up and continuing the fight. You know, the votes this time were very close to what we saw last year. What is different this time around?
I think the biggest difference in the actual vote, and that could have an impact on the veto situation, is that we amended the bill, which we didn't do last year, but we amended intramurals out of the bill. Personally, I didn't feel it affected the impact of the bill. The bill was to protect women's sports and competition and scholarship and records and everything that leads to the standards we have in women's sports. So we took intramurals out in order to strengthen support from more moderate thinkers about the bill, and that solidified our veto override number now. So we feel really good that if the governor does veto it, that we have the votes in place now to get through the override. That was the biggest difference.
Also,
but the other difference, Tony, is the Leah Thompson. That changed everything in the way people perceive the bill from last year.
Right, you're absolutely right. There's been a lot that has happened since last year. In fact, you've had many other states, and as I just mentioned earlier today, the Indiana legislature overriding their Republican governor with a similar piece of legislation. So there's certainly a lot of momentum going into this year's passage of this bill. Any word from Governor Edwards regarding this legislation and what he might do?
I saw a quote actually where he said he's not committed to vetoing it. So I don't know. That's a strange way of putting it, but I don't know. I saw him in a Bible study this morning, and we didn't talk about it. So I'm very hopeful. And really based on we surveyed the state. The survey came out above 80% of people agreeing with the bill. You can't ignore how the majority of Louisianans feel about it. So I'm hoping he'll take that into consideration as well.
I would hope so, given the fact that Louisiana is a pretty red state, a very conservative state, and you've had many states that are not as conservative as Louisiana pass these measures. And quite frankly, I don't think this is a stretch just to say biological women are the only ones who can participate in women's sports. And by the way, folks, if you live in Louisiana, Beth, I'm going to give out the phone number for those that might want to give the governor a call. The governor's switchboard number is 225-342-7015. That's 225-342-7015 if you'd like to give the governor a call if you live in Louisiana. You can also go to tonyperkins.com. I've got his email address up there as well. Senator, other measures that are making their way through the legislature that the governor is poised to veto or threatening to veto?
I think, the concealed carry bills, I've heard about that. I'm not really sure. Last year we had some election affecting bills that he vetoed. So I haven't really seen anything on the radar as yet. As it tends to happen, it's one of those deals where at the end of session we're getting the more controversial bills on the other side
Right.
now. So when we get those through, we'll be able to see a better idea of where the vetoes are going to fall.
Right, I know how that works, and they'll sit on them until the legislators go home, hoping they won't come back to Baton Rouge to deal with
and
them.
that's what we're doing. We're literally it's the last week almost, and we're just getting a lot of the really more contentious bills on the other side.
Well, Senator Mizell, again, I want to thank you for your leadership and not giving up on this issue, and I hope to see you Thursday at the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast there at the Capitol Museum.
Look
All
forward
right,
to it,
I'll see
Tony.
you there.
Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, thanks for joining us. Senator Beth Mizell of Louisiana.